2022 is almost at a close, which means that we are about to say goodbye to the Dawning for yet another year. However, not before I give a wee review of the activity for this year. In case you don't know, the Dawning is a seasonal event in Destiny 2, which takes place during the end of the year. It's themed around celebration winter for the Northern Hemisphere, so snowy, that sort of thing, and just a festive period. It's not specific to any religion or any sort of celebration. It's really just a culmination of that previous year, New Year celebrations, that sort of thing, festive period. It takes place over 3 weeks, and there's many different things you can do during the event. A quick summary would be there's a sale that you can get. This year it is Star Baker. It's probably going to stay that way for coming years. There's gameplay aspects such as throwing snowballs, baking cookies, there's bounties, rewards. There isn't really any lore, but there's some aesthetical stuff. The tower is decorated, for example. There's Eververse armor, universal ornaments, there's themed weapons, that sort of thing. It begins this year with a quest which takes the player on a journey to each vendor in the game to give them a Christmas gift. It basically takes multiple stages of cooking certain cookies or gifts, and then just traveling around and depositing them at the likes of the Drifter or Zavala or Devrim K or Failsafe, and getting a reward in return for your generosity. Not every vendor in the game is included. The Postmaster, for example, isn't, but unfortunately that's just the way things are. There are 3 main resources during the Dawning. There is Essence of Dawning, which is obtained from activity completions. This can be strikes, Crucible Gambit, seasonal activities, basically anything in the game. And it can be used to bake cookies. It takes, I think, 15 Essence of Dawning to bake a cookie. Once you masterwork the oven, it only takes 10. There is Dawning Spirit, which is obtained from Dawning Bounties, as well as delivering gifts. This can be used to purchase upgrades from Eva during the event, and also to obtain weapons by trading in a gift in return, which is the next reward / currency / resource. They are occasionally obtained from delivering a gift to a vendor. The rewards can be enhancement cores, prisms, legendary shards of glimmer, that sort of thing, and they can be combined with 10 Dawning Spirit at Eva to guarantee a festive Dawning weapon. That's really just a quick rundown of the event. There isn't any activity for the Dawning, like Festival of the Lost or Solstice of Heroes. The activity itself is incorporated into the core gameplay of Destiny 2 essentially, so there's snowballs located all over the place. The resources to bake cookies are obtained just from doing gameplay tasks, and a lot of the stuff's just passive, so you don't have to play an activity. It's just you play the game and it kind of progresses like that. So the first section that I will cover is the lore / the aesthetics. There isn't really any lore to do with the Dawning. Festival of the Lost had quite a lot of lore and story and everything, but that's really because it's, Ghost story themed, I guess. So there isn't really any lore during this event. It's really just a celebration of the past year. This is coupled with Moments of Triumph, which is exactly that. It's a celebration of the past year of Destiny 2. Aesthetics wise, the tower is once again decorated as per basically any event that they have in the game. However, it's a bit disappointing. Only the courtyard is decorated, whereas in previous years you would have seen the hangar, the bazaar, and the annex decorated. These areas are not decorated this year. It's literally just courtyard. I don't really understand this. It doesn't really make any sense to me because Festival of the Lost, the hangar wasn't decorated, but the rest of the tower was, and I assume that was because Kaido's ship was in the hangar. At least that's what I assumed, and there might clash with some decorations, but only the courtyard for Dawning is decorated. There's not really any reason why the rest of the tower can't be decorated, and I'm fairly sure it was decorated in previous years. I'll have a clip playing from a previous Dawning, I think 2020 I have a video of, in case that does show the different areas decorated. This does kind of take me out of the event a wee bit. I know it's a bit petty because it's just the tower decorations, but running from the courtyard to any other area of the tower, it's a bit jarring to suddenly it be like there's no event actually taking place. The courtyard has snow and lanterns and, there's actually snow falling from the sky, whereas in the rest of the tower there's not. So it's just a bit weird in my opinion. The annex isn't too bad, but the bazaar at least could have been decorated, but that's a pretty small thing anyway. The second aesthetic thing really is the ghost shell. This is called Dawn Chimes. It's obtainable from the triumphs that you complete for the sale and the event card. The front section of the ghost has a bit of a glass, sort of like windshield, I guess. It's not shaderable. It doesn't take any different colors when you apply shaders to the shell, but the rest of the shell does change drastically by adding shaders. I think it looks really cool. Fits in with the style of the Dawning very, very well, and it couples quite well with the Universal Ornament set, which is available from Eververse as well. So I think it's quite a good ghost shell, pretty decent reward, and is one of many rewards you can get from the sale this year. Talking about the Universal Ornament set, the Hunter set this year looks quite nice. I'd say it's one of the better sets throughout all of the dawnings that we've had in Destiny 2. I particularly like the chest plate, as it's got quite a nice design with like a diamond, like a gold diamond on the front center of it, and sort of these lines, almost like wings, I guess, coming off of it, flaring off of it. I think it looks really, really nice. However, the rest of the set doesn't really do all that much for me. I do quite like the highlights and the sort of accents of the fur is all I can really use to describe it. That's kind of over the different parts of the armor, and the part of the set which I least like is probably the cloak. I'm not the biggest fan of how it looks really, but overall it's a pretty nice set. It does cost 6,000 bright dust as per any event in Destiny 2, so I'm not sure I can justify buying that, but it looks pretty nice. I think it's one of the better donning sets. For the other classes, I don't really play, well, I don't have a Titan, I do play Warlock. I think from memory the sets did look pretty nice. I'll have this picture of them on screen, but I'm really only concerned about the Hunter because I mainly play Hunter. Next we have the gameplay. There is no main activity during the dawning, like you would have in Festival of the Lost with the Haunted Sectors, or Solstice with the European Aerial Zone. Instead, you basically play any activity in the game to progress the event. Snowballs are present in most activities, barring the ones which would make sense, such as Crucible and Gambit, but they exist in pretty much every other activity in the game. You then can get baking resources from just playing the game, doing gameplay related tasks. It can be defeating enemies with your abilities, with certain elements, with certain weapons, defeating certain enemies. So none of it's really tied to an actual activity, it's all just general gameplay stuff, which is quite nice actually. The thing that I find with Festival of the Lost and with Solstice is that you play the European Aerial Zone or you play the Haunted Sectors, and as soon as you get bored of those activities, you're done with the event essentially, because the event is tied more or less 100% to those activities. And if the activities aren't kept fresh, the actual event isn't kept fresh. Whereas with the Dawning, because you can do anything in the game, it's a bit more of a light event, and it just keeps it a bit more fresh, especially because it requires you to use different things, which is what we're about to get onto. So you bake your cookies and your gifts using Eva's Holiday Oven 2.1 this year. This requires uncommon ingredients and rare ingredients plus Essence of Dawning in order to bake these Dawning gifts. An example of this would be Galler Doodles. This is the gift for Zavala. It requires Ether Cane, which is acquired from just defeating Fallen, Delicious Explosion, which is acquired from getting grenade launcher, or rocket launcher defeats on combatants, and 15 or 10 Essence of Dawning. You get 15 if it's not masterworked, 10 if it is masterworked. You masterwork the oven by baking every single type of cookie, then you can masterwork it. It takes 5 Essence of Dawning off of the cost of baking a cookie. As you can see there, Ether Cane is the uncommon ingredient, I believe, and Delicious Explosion is the rare ingredient. With another cookie, Strange Cookies, which is for Zur, it requires Taken Butter, which is defeating Taken, Electric Flavor, which is defeating combatants with arc damage, and Essence of Dawning, again, 15 or 10, depending on Masterwork or not. So they're fairly straightforward. They require you to do certain actual things gameplay-wise, not playing a certain activity, just defeating combatants in a certain way, usually. Some of them seem to drop at a different rate than others, but at the same time, it could just be complete RNG and they could all be the exact same. As in, all uncommon ones could be the exact same, all rare ones could be the exact same, I really don't know. During the intro quest, it can be slightly annoying because you're really trying to get like superb texture or something like that, or I had great difficulty with null taste. It took ages for that to drop for me, but then I got, I think, two like defeats in a row. I got it, so they're completely random, they're RNG. Play the game, you'll get the ingredients essentially. As I said, you then deliver the gifts to their respective vendors. Galler Doodles go to Zavala, Strange Cookies go to Zur. There's different ones for different vendors, and you can get a rare gift in return or a legendary gift in return. The last main gameplay aspect are the Snowballs. So the snowballs are in third person, just like a sword or some supers. They can be picked up from the ground from certain spots. They'll just look like a pile of snow and some snowballs kind of floating all over the place. Or once you get certain upgrades from Eva, they can drop from defeating enemies. They do stasis damage. They also have certain effects such as slowing enemies. You can enhance this effect by purchasing upgrades from Eva using the Dawning Spirit, and you can even get extra features such as spawning stasis mines, or as I said, creating snowballs upon defeating enemies. They're pretty useful. They actually do quite a lot of damage. I used them heavily during the Dawning, even once the challenges were finished that require you to use them. They're really fun. I really enjoy using them. The other upgrades that you can obtain from Eva also are just really affect how often you get resources, and also certain perks on the Dawning weapons. That adds another perk in the first or the second column, I believe, so you can switch between them. I also did a wee test because with the snowballs, your FOV increases, I believe, and it feels like you're going faster than you would otherwise. My hunter's maxed out at 100 mobility, as far as I remember, and with a snowball, I felt like I was going quite a bit faster. So I wanted to test this because I didn't know whether it was just kind of like a fake effect because the FOV was wider, so it felt like you were going faster, or if it was genuinely faster. So I did a wee comparison on the Leviathan. You can see from the clip that it isn't much faster, but ever so slightly, you do move faster with a snowball. So compared with the sword, you do run faster with just a snowball. I think it's really nice because it does add to that fun aspect of the event. Throwing a snowball should be really fun. It should feel really good. They should do decent damage, which they do. They have really cool effects, and they also let you run faster. So I think they're really, really unique, really fun, and a really great aspect of the event. The next section, which couples onto the gameplay aspect, are the bounties. So we have 3 different types of bounties, as per basically anything in the game. There's weekly bounties, daily bounties, and repeatable bounties. They all give you different rewards at varying rates. Weekly bounties give you XP++. They give you 200 bright dust. They give you a random ingredient, as well as 40 Essence of Dawning and 10 Spirit of Dawning. Daily bounties give you XP+. They give you specific and random ingredients. They give you 2 Essence of Dawning and 2 Dawning Spirit. Repeatable bounties then, where I think this event really shines, give you XP, Bright Dust at a rate of 10, 2 random ingredients, 1 Essence of Dawning, and 1 Spirit of Dawning, or Dawning Spirit even. This is where I think the event really shines, because the weekly bounties are not difficult. The Spirit of Giving requires you to deliver 5 gifts, which is easy. Snowball Fight requires you to defeat 50 combatants with snowballs. Again, fairly straightforward. The daily bounties don't have any bright dust, but they're pretty straightforward as well. Cabal in a day's work is just defeat 50 Cabal. Looking Sharp is just defeat 20 combatants with glaives. And line them up is just earn 10 multi-kills. So fairly straightforward. The repeatable bounties are really where the event is just amazing, in my opinion. The only repeatable bounties that you can get from Eva require you to bake a cookie. It's literally just bake a cookie, not even deliver the cookie, although you'd be, I don't know, I judge you quite heavily for not delivering a cookie when it's baked. You don't dismantle cookies. But no, they basically just require you to bake specific cookies, and once you bake the cookie, you can redeem the bounty, and you get 10 bright dust, and you can do it over and over and over again. So I'm at the stage where I've completed the sale. I played the event a good bit, and I've got loads of resources stacked up, so I'm just able to keep pulling these bounties from Eva. This is something that the Dawning has always been really, really good for. It's just bright dust wording, essentially. Overall, the bounties get a thumbs up from me. They're not too difficult, give you great rewards. I'm happy. Before we move on to the sale, I wanted to cover the new weapon which is available for this year, which is a pulse rifle. I'll show it on screen. It's pretty fun to use. I think I use it in all my gameplay that I'm showing in the video. It's pretty satisfying to use. I think it does a good bit of damage. I'm not sure what perks you can get on it, but there's a Dawning specific perk this year, which if you get a multi-kill, it spawns a wee square looking engram type thing in the ground. I think it gives you a bonus like damage or something like that. I'm not too sure. I'm gonna have to look that up, or even just show the perk on screen. But it's a really fun weapon to use. I think it's a really good theme. That's about all I have to say about it. Finally, the sale. The sale is quite an infamous part of these events this year, in my opinion. The sale for Solstice was a bit annoying because the big culprit there was having to do something like 30 Gambit or Crucible matches. During Festival of the Lost, the sale was again kind of difficult due to a similar enough challenge. And this time, it's actually not too bad. So, as per usual, there's 16 challenges. There's an extra 4 for Gilly in the sale. The sale is called Star Baker this time round. But all of the challenges kind of tie in with each other in some way, shape or form. The first 4 challenges are essentially bake all of the cookies. That's really easy to do. The quest takes you through that anyway. The next group is defeating combatants with arc weapons or abilities, void weapons or abilities, solar weapons or abilities, and stasis weapons or abilities. And they kind of all envelop themselves with the complete Crucible or Gambit matches, complete Nightmare Containment or Heist Battlegrounds, and complete activities in Savathun's Throne World. The reason why I say that is because you can obviously use an arc weapon or super subclass, that sort of thing, whilst doing these other activities. You do have to get quite a lot of combatants defeated, but if you do it whilst doing all the other activities and you kind of are a bit proactive with it, you should have it pretty much finished by the time you finish all the other challenges. There's also defeat combatants with Snowballs in the Vanguard Ops playlist and defeat combatants with Snowballs in Dares of Eternity. And luckily, there's also one of the challenges which is complete Vanguard Ops or Dares of Eternity activities. Those 3 challenges tie in with each other extremely well. And then the final ones are bake 50 cookies in the Dawning Oven, which then progresses itself nicely into purchase all 12 Dawning upgrades. As you can see there, all the 16 challenges, they all partner together really, really well. By the time you finish all the other challenges, you'll have more than enough resources to bake 50 cookies. You can do all your combatant defeats whilst playing all the activities you have to play. You know, all of the different challenges just merge very, very well, and you can be really efficient about it. So I think it's a bit more of a relaxed event. The challenges this time around aren't nearly as bad. Completing Crucible or Gambit matches, instead of being like 25 or 30 matches you have to play, it's more like sub 10, which is really nice. So I'm really glad they made that change. Gambit and Crucible are not related to any of the events at all. At least with the Dawning, you get ingredients via playing these things. I'm glad it's toned down here at least. I would say the most annoying challenge out of all of the challenges for the sale would be Savathun's Throne World. It takes quite a while. It basically is sort of like the Crucible Gambit one for this time round in terms of annoyance. It's not nearly as bad as those ones though. Why I say this is because if you have the Witch Queen, you can play Wellspring, you can play the Strikes, and you can get, you know, quite good progress via those activities. But I did it the free route because I was playing with a friend who doesn't have the expansion. So if you're doing a public event, you get 3% from just doing it normally, or 6% from doing it heroically, and you get, I think, 6% from doing a lost sector as well. In my opinion, I would spread it over the course of multiple days. Don't do it all in one day. It'll really, really annoy you. So just spread it over multiple days. You'll be fine. Really, this is the only annoying challenge in the entire card. Don't do it all in one sitting. The rewards you get from the event card or from doing these challenges are a gift in return. You get this multiple times, the legendary version of it. You get each of the Dawning weapons once. You get a nice emblem. You get an enhancement prism. You get a couple shaders, a ghost shell, which I've already went over, and you also get an ascendant shard and alloy once you do all 16 challenges. That's the 17th challenge that you kind of claim, and you get those rewards from it. Pretty nice sale this time round. I think it's not too difficult. It can very easily be done over the course of 3 weeks. I didn't play Destiny every single day over the past 3 weeks, so I kind of played it a bit at the start, and then a bit in the middle, and then a wee bit sort of recently, so I spread it out a bit. It's been quite an enjoyable experience. The past few sales I can't really say the same thing about. So I think this is a very welcome change. The guilding challenges are also very obtainable. I'm not going to be guilding the seal, but it requires you to defeat combatants with snowballs. Defeat a lot of combatants with snowballs. Give 100 gifts. Spend 500 Dawning Spirit and defeat 2,000 combatants with Dawning weapons. Fairly straightforward, you can easily do that within 3 weeks. In conclusion, I've really enjoyed the Dawning this time round. I've really enjoyed baking the gifts and the cookies for the different vendors. I really find that an enjoyable experience. I've really enjoyed using the snowballs and upgrading them, and especially using them in seasonal activities such as Nightmare Containment and Heist Battlegrounds, as opposed to just, you know, patrol zones or Vanguard Ops. So I really like that it's in the seasonal activities. I've really enjoyed progressing through the sale, all those challenges, they've been really fun. There hasn't been any which have been really extremely annoying. Savathun's Throne World again was probably the worst one, but that wasn't anywhere close to the worst ones during the past 2 events. So overall, I really enjoyed the Dawning. I think it's probably my favourite event of this year. But overall, the Dawning's very good. I've really enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed the Dawning as well this time around. Please let me know in the comments your opinion on the Dawning or my review, if you disagree with anything or if you agree with anything. And I hope you also have a very happy new year. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.